Well, I'm Lance Neatherlin. I'm a tattooer, musician, artist, father, fucking stunt drunk, whatever you want to call it. I tattoo at Slave to the Needle up in Wallingford area. I work for Aaron Bell, fucking great boss, amazing person. Grateful for every day. So, born and raised in Seattle area. I was born up north actually, and son of a logger. My dad was a logger, so that's a whole other fucking story. Like, that guy was nuts, and he lives down in Mexico now and runs a church and does all this other crazy fucking shit down there. And he's kind of a cult leader type dude. Pretty trippy. So anyway, fucking came from a broken home and got in a lot of trouble as I was a kid, and then found music to escape. I've drawn since I was 4 years old, and I've just always drawn. And then I got into music and used that as an escape, probably to get away from everything, get away from the house or whatever, and fell in love with that. And then I dropped the pen and pencil for like 10 years in the 90s. So I'm an old fuck. I'm fucking like 50 years old. So dropped the pen and the pencil and did music in the 90s, and got in a band and got lucky on this one band that I was in. And my best friend, who's passed away now, rest in peace, Tracy, but he put together this band, and that was taken off. And that shit got fucking weird, man. It was like we'd go into grocery stores. It was the weirdest fucking thing I've ever experienced, honestly. But people would ask for autographs and shit. It was one of those deals. Like, it was fucking weird. We were touring when nobody was touring and all that shit. And we were working on a big label deal, and I fucking decided, well, I got approached to start muling drugs, be a fucking carrier and smuggling. And they thought that they could trust me or whatever. And in my head, I was like, well, fuck, we're about to get signed. I know what that means. We're going to be broke for a while. So fuck this. I'm going to stack some cash and have some floating money. Maybe even start a business or some fucking shit like that before we start doing the band, real band thing. And our management set up this tour to show the labels. So we had a bunch of fucking labels interested in us and all that shit. So anyway, I started smuggling drugs, and cocaine and weed in particular, and we were picking it up down in Mex and bringing it up into Canada. So we were just skipping the States. And I can talk about this part of it just 25 years later. I'm not gonna be some fucking, I hate whistleblower fucking mentality bullshit, all that fucking rat shit. Anyway, so I was picking it up down south and taking it up north, and I got popped doing it. And it was in the middle of this whole fucking band thing that was going on, and lost all that. I went to prison for about 10 years. Didn't rat anybody out, so just did my time, went on, took my fucking beating because I signed up for it. That's what I always believe. Like, you sign up for something, fucking, they didn't treat me bad, they treated me good. So, and you know what? No regrets. I'm forever grateful for that too. Like, fucking those people, I don't care how bad people talk about whatever organizations, but they took good care of me. Never once saw violence or any of that shit. I know that shit happens, but it's pretty easy fucking rules to follow to avoid all that is don't steal, don't get greedy, and don't rat people out. It's like fucking, so did that. Went to prison. And in prison, I started drawing again because I had nothing else. We had a band program, but I wasn't going to make a living at that now. So had to get a hustle going. So I started drawing on envelopes, and I was doing portraits on envelopes of people's dudes' wives or hyenas or their fucking, whoever they were hustling to get money put on their books for. And was doing that, and then these dudes fucking came up to me and they're like, hey man, you want to fucking start tattooing? And I was just like, no, fuck that. I don't want to tattoo. It's fucking gross in here. Like, why would I do that? It's like fucking hep A, B, C, D, fucking E, F, G, AIDS and all that shit floating around in here. And they're like, well, what if we could get you everything fucking made up for you, like top shelf? And we got dudes that work in the medical area in the prison, and they could get you all the cleaning stuff, and then we could do it. If you would do it clean, would you want to do it? Because you need to do this shit. Like, and I was just like, no, I'm not. I don't want. And then they didn't pump me into it, but they were just like, dude, you need to do it. Like, fuck, you're a good artist. So I'm not patting myself on the back, but that was the shit I was getting, in there.
How long into prison is this?
This is about 3 years, 2 years into prison. About 2, 3 years, yeah. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I would do it. And so anyway, the first motherfucker that I tattooed, this guy, his name was Carl the Butcher. Carl Lomax, the Butcher. He was a stabby fucker, so he's known to stab people. So big Carl, a big, huge Viking fucker, comes up to me and he's like, all right, youngster, that's how they talk in there, fucking all these old timers. And those are the guys you had to worry about, was like all the old guys. Because they had nothing, they didn't give a fuck. They were doing 20, 30, 40 years, He's like, all right, youngster, this is what you're going to do. You're going to come into my cell, and we're going to tattoo my leg, and, I'm going to show you what to do, And I was just like, oh, fuck. I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to do this. But, okay, you know what? All right, Carl, fuck you guys. I kind of want to fit in, but I kind of don't. I'm not a fucking racist fucking asshole piece of shit, fucking how But here we are, fucking. So anyway, I go in, and Carl sets me up with this fucking tattoo machine, and it's a fucking beard trimmer. And it was a beard trimmer, battery-operated beard trimmer, and you put the battery on your wrist. You'd take a sweatband. It's pretty grimy. Take a fucking brand new sweatband. You wrap it around the battery pack, and it's wired up to this fucking motor, which is a rotary, which is what I use now. Not the same setup, but it's a rotary machine. And 2 new batteries was your liner, and then 1 dead battery and 1 new battery was your shader. So you'd switch it out like that. So he packs it up like a liner, and he gives me this little, we did this little fucking, on the inside of his leg, we do this little, I don't know, some Taurus, I think it was a Taurus symbol, little tribal Taurus symbol or whatever. And he gets me going on it, and as I'm sitting there, I'm working on it, and I'm like, fuck, this is cool. Like, fuck, this is really fucking cool. Like, this big motherfucker, I'm making him bleed and shit, and he's not like freaking out, you know what I mean? It's just it's pretty fucking metal. And I was like, fuck, this is fucking kind of violent, like, yeah, this is fucking dope. And so I'm like getting into it and shit, and I was like really getting into it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna give him the best tattoo ever, like fucking this and that. And so we finished the tattoo. And he didn't really say much to me while I was doing the tattoo on him. He was just kind of like, oh yeah, you just kind of, you got to just steady your fucking hand. Okay, go over that part right there. You fucked that part up or whatever. It's all shaky. Just keep going, blah, blah, blah. And so we do the tattoo. We wrap him up and everything. And I see him like a week later out on the yard, because it's a big place, that we're in. And you don't always see people all the time. It's like a fucking city, So I'd see Carl like a week later. I was like, hey, Carl, how's your fucking tattoo or whatever? And he's just like, oh, you can take a look for yourself. And he rolls up his pant leg, dude. And it's like I dug a fucking hole of China on him. Like it was just gouged. His leg was just completely fucking gouged out. I was like, oh, fuck, are we cool, He's like, oh, yeah, now you know what not to do. And he's like, we'll fix it up. He's like, well, that's how fucking crazy it was. He was a hard motherfucker. But, Carl he was a fucking nut. And so we went back in and fixed it up. And then he's like, well, what do you guys, and they're like, well, what do you think? I was like, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't want to fucking, I'm going to get stabbed or something. Like some shit's going to happen, And they're like, no, don't worry. All you're going to do is get better and better and better. And these dudes kept encouraging me. And they're like, hey, look, you can just practice on me. They're giving me their fucking arms and everything, right? And then, so I was like, oh, okay. And so we had all these dudes coming into medical. The Native American guys had these beading needles, stainless steel, perfect fucking beading needles. I did learn how to fucking sharpen up a brand new guitar string before all that. And that was all we were using. It was brand new shit, And it was all single use. It's kind of like the fucking way the industry is now. It's fucking weird, Because we didn't have autoclaves in there or any of that shit. So we were just throwing everything away as we were getting it. Dudes were paying off the guards to fucking get the ink in. We were getting Pelican ink or whatever kind of ink we were getting in. The guards didn't give a fuck. They were making $15 an hour or whatever the fuck they were making. Dudes would buy them a brand new set of rims. They're all drug dealers with fucking tons of money. So like, hey, fool, fucking, I'll give you these fucking, I'll buy some new rims for your fucking car. Just start bringing fucking ink in for me and I'll pay you for that too. It's fucking they didn't give a fuck. So we were getting all the cool shit in. And now that I think about it, I don't know why somebody didn't just have a whole fucking machine brought in, but they were too noisy. You had to be, the rotary part was quiet, I guess. So that was part of the deal. And some of the guards would even watch you fucking tattoo. You know, they'd come up and they'd be like, "Oh, what the fuck are you guys working on today?" You know, if a lieutenant comes around, let me fucking put that shit away. Don't get me in trouble. You know, don't fucking get me in trouble, and you won't get in trouble. Like, so they kind of let us do it. And anyway, did that for wherever I wound up. Fucking, I went through 3 different prisons. They upped my custody. Got in trouble for smuggling shit into the prison, so they bumped me up or whatever. And it seemed like tattooing got easier as the custody levels went up, because it's just like they just more other shit to worry about than fucking tattooing, you know. And then did the prison thing, got out.
How many years was that?
10 years. Did eight on 8 something on a 10-year beef. So I lost some good time. So fucking yeah, I was getting in trouble in there too, just with tattooing. And when I smuggled some shit in and got thrown in the hole, fucking I lost, you know, about a half a year of good time.
So
It was federal time, so yeah.
So you spent 5 years tattooing in prison?
Yeah, on and off, yeah. And so I'd land at the next spot, and you know, they get me all set up. You know, I get all acquainted with the dudes, and shit. They call it coming down the pipe. So you'd get at another spot, and they already knew exactly who you were and what you were all about. So, so I got there, and there was, "Oh fuck yeah, you tattoo. We already got you fucking set up." You know, I was just like fuck, this is crazy, man. Yeah, it was pretty weird. And so yeah, and I was getting ready to get out, and I was reading some magazines, and I got tattoo magazines sent in and shit like that, and I read an article in Tattoo magazine about Aaron Bell, and it was a story about how he bought Slave to the Needle, kind of his life story, and Aaron was a crazy motherfucker, man. He was fucking wild, like he's a gangster, and he's an OG. And so he was talking about some of his stories and how he was heading to prison, you know, and then he came up here. He got out of L.A. or Orange County and came up here and to get out of trouble, him and Melissa, and started Slave to the Needle. I was like, fuck, I want to be like that guy. Like, that's who I want to fucking be like. And my influences, like my tattoo influences for stylistically, was Bob Tyrell and Paul Booth. Like, they were the guys for me. That's what I wanted to do. Portraits and shit, 'cause that's what I was, that's like my comfort zone. So anyway, so I read this article on Aaron, and I was like, fuck, that's what I'm gonna do, you know. And then before I got out of prison, people are just like, what the fuck, like, what if it doesn't work, you know? I was just like, well, I'm not gonna give it an option, I'm gonna make it work, you know. So got out, worked my fucking ass off, man. Fucking went through, you know, tore through fucking man, woman, and child to fucking get to where I was at. Just didn't care, you know, lost relationships, houses, fucking whatever. Fuck, I didn't give a shit. I was just like sold my soul to the tattoo devil pretty much. Me and my dog Clive, I had a dog that hang out with me, and he was my mate fucking for 15 years. And yeah, I went and did the fucking, just the tattoo fucking thing. Started my own studio. You know, before I worked at Slave, but I guess I should back that up to go into my apprenticeship, how I got into tattooing. So I get out of prison, excuse me. I'm in the halfway house, and I'm working at this barbecue joint with this fucking old school fucking black dude named Otis. Cool as fuck, man. Super rad dude from Georgia. And he'd always tell me, he's like, "Ah, man," he's like, "all right, the pigs fucking, they come here looking for you." Because I was doing my apprenticeship while I was supposed to be working at this place. And he just co-signed for me while I'm in the halfway house. And he's like, "If the fucking pigs come looking for you, you know, I'm just going to tell them you're on a fucking, you know, you're going out and getting soda or whatever, but you got to get your ass back over here to the restaurant, you know, don't front me off." You know, I was like, of course. You know, dude did me a huge solid. He let me do my apprenticeship, like, underground. I mean, I would have gotten in a lot of trouble, basically, if I would have got caught. And so I go to this place, this guy, Ty Myers, he had a place called Phoenix Tattoo down here in Pioneer Square. And he fucking gave me a chance. He got me in the industry, so I'm fucking forever grateful to Ty. And then, you know, he gave me an apprenticeship. The whole shop kind of took me in, though. So I learned from like 5, 6 different people. But I really wanted to focus on black and gray, and they were all about color. And then I found out I was colorblind, and that was really fucking made me want to focus on black and gray. Because, you know, I'm sitting there tattooing this dude and doing like a brown spotted cow or whatever on this guy, you know, cutting my teeth, doing a little jammer during my apprenticeship. And fucking, it's got like a little piece of grass under this cow, or it was just a corny little tattoo. But it was, you know, I was learning. And I'm coloring it in, and Ty's all standing there, he's all fucking green cow, huh? And I was like, what? And he's just like, green cow? And the guy's all, what? And he's all fucking, what the fuck is that? And I was just like, what? Like, I'm just like, what do you mean green cow? And he's like, you're doing the spots green on that thing? And I was like, fuck, because it was supposed to be brown, so I had brown and green right next to each other. I'm like, no, man, no, that's reflective light coming off the grass underneath him. I'm going to come back down into it with all the brown, and then fucking, it's going to look sick, you know? And the guy's like, oh, that's fucking genius. Oh, that's so killer. You know, the dude was all stoked on it. And I did it, and I actually did that. I fucking brought all the fucking, started shading it in brown from the top and then shaded it into the green. It's dumb as fuck looking. And then Ty's just like, hey, man, come here. He's like, get in here. He's like, fucking, read this fucking book. And he gives me all those colorblind books. And he's like, what do you see on page 1 there? And I was just like, a bunch of dots. He's like, you don't see a big bold 1? I was like, no. He's like, fuck. He's like, turn the page. And I was like, yeah. He's like, what do you see? I was like, dots. He's like, you don't see a fucking palm tree? You know, and I'm just like, no, dude, I don't see shit. He's like, fuck. He's like, dude, you're colorblind as fuck. Like, you're fucked. Like, you've got to pay attention to your ink, you know? And that's what I always did. I can differentiate, you know, like blues from greens from, you know, the primary colors. I can tell the difference between that shit. But, yeah, I was just like, fuck, I'd get color confused. And, yeah, and that haunted me for the rest of my life. Like, fucking, I've fucked up a few tattoos to this day, like doing the wrong color, you know, working on a buddy of mine or whatever. Luckily, they were friends, and doing color, which I didn't want to fucking do. And I'm just like, hey, man, fucking, okay, we're going to finish up these clouds or whatever, these blue clouds. And the guy's just like, okay. And he's just laughing, my friend Josh. And coloring in these clouds on him. He's looking at me. He's like, so we're doing blue today, huh? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, the rest of them are purple. I was like, fuck. It's like, why didn't you say something? He's like, no, I think it's funny. You know, it's just like, those are the kind of friends I have. Fucking real friends don't let friends tattoo them. So, but yeah, man, so.
Tell me about some experiences in your apprenticeship.
Oh, some, fuck. I got a crazy one. Fucking, yeah, dude, Ty's shop was fucking nuts. I mean, I got offered sex to clean. I was cleaning the fucking, you know, this probably is whatever. Fucking, I don't know how today is or now. People are going to frown on this one, but I mean, I got laid out of the deal. So I was mopping the shop up, and these fucking drunk girls come in, and some chick, you know, she lived right up the road up on Yesler or whatever, and she's like, hey, you're fucking, you know, cute or whatever, and you want to come up and clean my place? And I was like, you couldn't pay me enough. She's like, what about sex? I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So, you know, shit like that would happen, dude. It was like the Wild West. You know, it was like the last Wild West shop in Seattle, pretty much.
What was the timeline on this?
This is about 2008. 2000, yeah. About very beginning of 2008, late 2007. So, yeah. And everybody else, you know, things had cleaned up quite a bit in the tattoo industry, but Ty just ran a loose fucking street shop. You know, it was like the last of the stronghold of the fucking old school street shops. I mean, we were tattooing drunk people. People were coming in fucking, you'd start tattooing them, and all of a sudden they start sweating, and you just start fucking smelling booze on them and shit, yeah. And then all the sailors that would come in, tattooed a ton of Army guys. It was great for cutting my teeth, you know, so doing small tattoos on people. Yeah, we had that. Fucking, one time some guy came in and got a big argument with Ty, and I'm still in this is during my apprenticeship, where I'm still in the halfway house too. Fucking, this dude comes in, he starts arguing with Ty, and then I don't know exactly what they're arguing. I'm trying not to pay attention because I'm just trying to mind my own business. I still had that prison mentality thing. And then all of a sudden Ty's like, fuck, that motherfucker's going and getting a gun. I was like, what? And he's just like, yeah, dude, that guy's getting a gun. I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, here, grab this bat. Take this bat and get behind the fucking door. And when he comes in, take him out. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he's like, and I'm going to stand here as like bait so he doesn't see you. He's like, sets this thing up. And I'm just like, dude, I'm in the fucking halfway house. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? He's like, don't worry about it. The cops are on our side. Fucking, you know, they got our backs. Like, fuck, you ain't getting in any trouble. I'm like, no, I will. I'm not supposed to be here, you know, kind of thing. And he's like, well, too late now. The guy's going to get a gun and he's coming back in here. I was just like, fuck, you got to be kidding me. Luckily, the dude didn't come back in. So I'm standing behind the door with a fucking baseball bat. And I'm just like, what the fuck? This is fucked up, you know, like, okay, this is fucking crazy. So this is tattooing, huh? Well, it used to be like that. But, I mean, like I said, his was like the last shop like that in Seattle. And it was pretty fucking wild. But yeah, just did tons and tons of tattoos. Tons of fucking tattoos during the apprenticeship. Especially during Fleet Week. Like when they did, what the fuck was it called? Seafair. So they'd do Seafair and all the ships would come in. This is when a couple carriers would come in. So there'd be thousands of fucking sailors down in Pioneer Square. And fuck, they'd have paper plates. Fucking, he'd hire somebody with fucking, put a bunch of paper plates with ink caps on them and fucking they'd just sling them. Fucking, we'd just get done. Fucking, all right, wrap it up. Fucking next one. Like just lined up. Dudes lined up all fucking night. Yeah, it was crazy. And they'd take turns going to the bars. You know, go across to the Central and just we'd tell everybody to go to the Central. And I met some sketchy people. I met some really fucking good people too. But the soldiers, a lot of soldiers that I tattooed going into the war and then they'd come back out. You know, I'd see them when they get back out and they followed me to the next shop or whatever. Yeah, so anyway, I'm tattooing this dude fucking doing a shredded American flag on his leg. I've probably said that 5 times now. Anyway. His dad's in the back there, and these 2 chicks come up. These 2 ladies come up, and they work at Merchants, and they look like complete porn stars. And they were all drunk and hammered, and they would always come in and flirt with Thomas, another tattooer there, Thomas Wade, good friend of mine still to this day. And they're sitting there, where's Thomas? You know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, man, you 2 just need to make out. Just shut up and just fucking make out. And they're like, with who, your client? And I was like, and the guy's like looking at me, he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, with my client. Why not? Like, make out with my client while I'm tattooing him. And they were hammered, right? So they come around the fucking booth. And these 2, they're incredible looking ladies, like they're fucking amazing. And yeah, they just sit on his lap and he's just like making out with these 2 girls. So I'm tattooing his leg and his dad's all, that's my son. That's my son. Fucking good job, boy. You know. So I felt like I served the country at that point, you know, did my part to help out. And yeah, there's, I don't know, just tons of shit like that in the street shop, just fucking loose as fuck, you know, like crackheads, you got to chase crackheads down. And the rule in the shop was like if you had to tell somebody to leave twice, you had to knock them out. That was fucking crazy, you know, that was pretty intense. Had to throw the gloves off a couple times. Luckily, I didn't have to knock anybody out. I'm not a fucking tough guy, but, you know, had to do what you had to do. And yeah, so I went from there, did my apprenticeship. I completed my apprenticeship, and then I really wanted to work for my favorite black and gray guy, Joe who started up a shop called Pierced Hearts. And I worked for Joe, I worked for Joe for a good, 6 years? Fucking 2008-ish, late 2008 to probably 2014, 2015. So it was pretty good. 6, 7 years maybe, worked for him. God damn, time flies. Fucking crazy. And Joe was fucking great. Like, you know, he was the best boss ever too. Like, he was super fucking rad dude. And we just blast doom metal and whatever. Play metal all day. He was metal to the gills, and I'm a metalhead, so it's like we got along great. And then it came time for me to open up my own studio, which I called Devolution Inc., and that was attached to a place called Studio 7 down in the Soto district, and that place was loose as fuck too. It's like I was a private studio, but I had friends coming in and working, and you had no business being down there in that area unless you were getting tattooed or going to a show at Studio 7. Like, it was fucking gnarly down there. It was pretty that's where all the street people came from, like migrated into the city from. So it was like motherfuckers rolling around on 10 speeds with fucking golf clubs, you know, in backpacks, fucking like bumblebees. And they were just like loading up trucks right across the street from my fucking studio. And the truck would take off and they would come back emptied out, and they were just going to town, like fucking going into the city and just smashing, grabbing cars and shit.
What year was this?
That was 2005, 15, I think, 14 or 15. Yeah, it's about 2015, I think. I started that.
Is that how Seattle was at the time?
Yeah, everything was down there. There's a huge tent city underneath the bridge down there, like massive, underneath the West Seattle Bridge. It was fucking all lined up with tents, like it was fucking crazy. And that's where my studio was. So it was kind of, I'd even, I'd have clients come in. If it was dark out, I'd be outside looking for them. And my only way that you could tell that I had a studio there, I told everybody how to find it. I had these barred windows, and they were made out of bicycle forks. It was a pentagram made out of bicycle forks. They had it all barred up. And that place was loose as fuck too, man. It was crazy. Like, I started scheduling shit around shows, so I got into a really fucking crazy party habit, like fucking nuts. It like spun out of control. I was doing coke fucking probably 3-4 times a week. Like it was going out. I did enough coke to kill a fucking elephant, probably a herd of elephants at that time. And just staying busy, fucking partying, and did a bunch of tattooing. I don't know how the fuck I did it. And, that was one thing I always prided myself too. I could party my fucking balls off and still do a good tattoo. That was a weird, probably not the best thing, to be doing. Most, not a very good role model, I guess, fucking type situation. But whatever, it worked, and worked there with a guy named Jay Heath, who's a good friend of mine still to this day, and he's over in the Eastern Washington. But he helped me get that place going, and he stuck it out before he had to head out too, because he just couldn't do it anymore. And then I'd have friends coming in, and everybody had to hustle. I had nothing to offer, so if they didn't have clients, they were just sitting there. So everybody there, I feel kind of bad. Everybody there, like if they weren't staying busy, they developed a little bit of a drug habit down there, and I probably didn't help with that. So doing my thing, I was, oh fuck you, you do you. I don't give a shit. I'm over here doing me. Like you do whatever the fuck you want. But they'd see me partying and probably do their own fucking thing. So I did that, and then things were starting to wind down at Studio 7. There was a shooting there, and somebody got fucking killed, and so that place was going to shut down, and I knew that was coming to an end eventually. And right at that time, this guy, Rock, actually befriended me, and then, long story short, got me a job at Slave to the Needle with Aaron, and I've been working there ever since. So that's kind of my retirement place until they decide to tell me to get the fuck out, or anything else otherwise. But it's weird, doing time back in the fucking like 2004, 2005, reading an article on Aaron, and now I'm working for him. Just kind of weird how life works, like that. So I believe in lots of weird shit, like fucking quantum entanglement and shit like that. I think things fucking just are all pieced together. Like we're all connected. Everything's fucking connected. So just kind of funny how you can kind of, I don't say you pick and choose your own story, but you kind of do. So, and then you got options, it's like fucking make opportunities and take advantage of them. So yeah, and I'm in a great space at Slave to the Needle. It's like, it's like a well-oiled machine there. It's, they run a really good ship. It's like being in a local band and getting hired by Slayer or something, to me. That's how it works for me. It's like, fuck, it's pro there. So, yeah, went from loose as fuck to pro, but still a little bit loose, to super loose. And now I'm working, in a really good shop. I'm really grateful for it. So, yeah, grateful for prison, actually, for all of that. So I would never be tattooing if it wasn't for that. So I'd probably be dead. Pretty sure I would be. But that's about it.
I'd love to hear about if you had, so you got to kind of see like some semblance of what old school apprenticeships were like, or old school tattooing was like compared to now. Is there anything you want to say about the current state of tattooing versus the old state, things that are important that you learned back then?
Fuck, everything evolves, right? So you never quit learning. And artistically, dude, fuck it. There's people coming out that are just doing mind-blowing shit. And there were people were doing mind-blowing shit, like Kyle DeVries, Mike DeVries. Kyle's his son. He's worked at the shop, but doing color portraits and shit like that. And I was like, that's never gonna fucking hold up or whatever. And then I see shit like 10 years later that looks fucking pristine. So, you know, everybody's like, oh, that's gonna look like shit in 10 years. Certain things, yeah, of course, you know, you clump it up together too closely, shit's gonna fucking migrate and blend together. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of, I call them fucking Pinterest tattoo type shit. Looks good. Coming, you know, when they do it, who knows what the fuck it's gonna look like down the road. Apprenticeships now, I wouldn't even know about apprenticeships now because the shop that I work at, we don't do apprenticeships there. You gotta have experience to work there. That's just hands down. Aaron don't wanna fucking deal with that shit. And yeah, I don't know. You know, the new school of people, I mean, fuck, they're good people, nice people, like all the clients that I meet, you know, that come in, younger crowds and stuff, you know, it's just, I don't think it's necessarily a fucking negative thing. Back in the day, it was fucking rough as fuck, you know, learning how to take a punch or whatever, you fucking knife fights and all kinds of crazy shit was happening. I don't think it's a bad thing that that's kind of tamed down, you know, people kind of progressed a bit, so. You know, the whole fucking, you need to ask me before you touch me kind of fucking tattooing thing. Fuck all that. It's like, I'm here to do a job. I keep it pro, you keep it pro. Don't fuck around. Don't even go there with that. So, you know, that was how I was taught. Never fucking shit where you eat, you know, so, yeah. So.
Your specialty is black and gray?
Yeah. Yeah, I do portraits. Yeah, that's my specialty. That's what I like to do. That's my comfort zone. Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of pet portraits lately, so that's kind of a thing right now for me. But yeah, I like doing dark art, like really fucking grimy dark art and portraits. But portraits especially, I fucking love portraits. Yeah, I mean just don't go out of the lines. Don't go out of the fucking lines. Don't be afraid to use black. Bob Tyrell taught me that. Use more black than what you think you need. So, because when everything fades out and washes out a little bit, you know, all those super light grays, you can barely see them, you know, so, you know, and I'm still learning too, man. I'm learning different types of shit now too, like using, you know, like a single needle or a tight, super ultra tight 3 to do some shading with, to shade some things in, you know, to get some textures in skin and shit like that. So, I mean, fuck, it's evolving still, man. It's fucking crazy. So, and, you know, I could stand to learn to, you know, stand to learn a few new things here and there too, so, yeah. If you want to get into tattooing, learn how to eat shit. Like fucking, you're gonna eat a bunch of shit. Like, especially now with the economy and everything the way it is. Like, just fucking be ready for it. Yeah, you're gonna lose. You know, it's a lifestyle. So it's not something you can just, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm just gonna do this and blow up and fucking, you know, just be fucking money ridden or whatever. Some people do luck out and get that, but you know, everything has its lifespan. So, you know, that's it. Yeah, 20 years is a good run. So I'm grateful for it, and I'm still working. So still able to raise a family on it. You know, it's not always fucking easy though. So it's not the easiest walk in the park for sure. Yeah, it's not as glamorous as everybody fucking thinks it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Cheers.